Hello and welcome back to Brain Bites. So today's topic is actually directly connected to your health, your lifestyle, and your everyday choices. Because, the technology we're exploring today, it's about to fundamentally reshape the future of work and honestly, how we all live. We're looking at Anthropic's meteoric rise from a safety-conscious startup to an absolute AI tech titan. Let's break down this unprecedented journey.
Okay, let's dive into this. Picture this. Anthropic starts letting early testers use their language models. And the feedback? It wasn't just, oh wow, this is cool. No. Some testers literally told them, this is a super weapon. Please don't release this. I mean, that is a staggering, frankly terrifying level of power to hold in your hands as a young company. And it completely sets the stage for everything they do.
Part 1, the AI underdog juggernaut. From sibling startup to market leader. You see, Anthropic started out as this scrappy underdog lab, really aiming to be the definitive good guys in a rapidly escalating AI arms race. And today, they're going head-to-head with the absolute biggest names in the industry.
To truly understand Anthropic, you've got to understand the siblings running it. And no, they aren't bickering over the TV remote. Dario and Daniela Amodei are essentially perfect complements. Dario, the brother, he's the visionary, totally obsessed with math, science fiction, and just understanding the cosmos. Daniela, the sister, acts as the grounded operational force. She takes Dario's swirling, complex ideas and actually executes them into reality.
Part 2, the great OpenAI defection, a clash of visions. So how exactly did this sibling duo end up at the very center of the AI universe? Well, to answer that, we have to look at a pivotal piece of Silicon Valley backstory and how the Amodei split from the most famous AI lab in the world.
Back in 2016, Dario and Daniela joined the newly formed OpenAI. Then, by 2018, Dario drove a massive scientific breakthrough. But jumped to 2021, and driven by those clashing visions we just mentioned, they left to found Anthropic. And get this, miraculously, all 7 of the original 2021 co-founders, they still remain in Anthropic today. That is practically unheard of for a company scaling this incredibly fast.
Now that 2018 breakthrough I mentioned, it's known as scaling laws. At the time, this was a highly unusual, totally countercultural theory championed by Dario. It basically predicted that large language models would get significantly smarter just by feeding them more data and more computing power, even if the underlying code didn't change at all. This single, bold idea is what ultimately supercharged the entire modern generative AI boom we're living through right now.
But despite finding so much success together, the split happened. Anthropic's stated reasons for their defection included diverging product visions, differing core values, major disagreements on safety, and fundamentally just a lack of trust. It's a super complex dynamic, though it is definitely worth noting that OpenAI's Sam Altman has stated he still mostly trusts them as a company.
Part 3, training AI to be good, the safety philosophy. Because of those very safety disagreements, Anthropic was built from day one with a core mission to create responsible, aligned AI. They really want their chatbot Claude to exhibit what they call professional warmth, so approachable but distant, totally avoiding being completely unfeeling or, on the flip side, overly nanny-ish.
Now, what's really interesting here is how Anthropic clearly defines what makes a model bad. The massive danger in this space is hallucination. That's when an AI model just makes something up because it's blindly trying to predict the next word. Or worse, it purposely tries to deceive the user. Unaligned code can produce genuinely harmful information, making this a very real, critical threat.
To combat that, their researchers carefully tuned Claude's character using a foundational constitution. And we're not just talking about standard engineering code here. It draws heavily from the UN Declaration of Human Rights, transcendent religious values spanning millennia, and strict harmlessness principles. They are literally trying to bake the ethics that humans have grappled with for centuries directly into the machine.
Part 4, the Enterprise Code Revolution, shifting the paradigm. And hey, if you're finding this explainer useful so far, take a second to hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow and reach more people. So Anthropic realized early on that to stay true to their safety values, they needed a very specific business model. They deliberately chose practical, highly lucrative enterprise tools over splashy consumer apps.
Social media and consumer AI often rely on an advertising model that maximizes user engagement and, frankly, addiction. Well, Anthropic entirely avoids that toxic engine. Instead, they focus squarely on enterprise AI. Here, the goals are completely different. Things like curing diseases with biotech, building better software, and making energy cheaper.
It's a really active alignment of their ethics with their actual output.
And make no mistake, this strategy is paying off massively. Look at their staggering valuation of $965 billion. It proves that a safety-first, enterprise-focused bet isn't just good ethics, it's an incredibly successful business. They are now profitable and growing at an unbelievable rate.
To really understand that growth, consider their 17x year-over-year jump in API volume. API volume is essentially the sheer number of times other software programs are communicating directly with their AI. Dario describes the reality right now as riding a smooth exponential. For a long time, nothing happens. And then, suddenly, zoom. That 17x multiplier? That is the zoom happening right now in real time.
But hey, this explosion comes with a pretty severe cost for the old guard. $285 billion. That is the massive amount of market value wiped out from traditional software stocks practically overnight when Anthropic released their powerful coding tools. Financial traders are literally calling this massive disruption the SaaS apocalypse. To understand why traditional software is shaking in its boots, just listen to engineer Boris Cherny. He says, "I have like a jetpack, and the engineering has never been this fun." Claude Code is currently writing 100% of his daily code on his team. Tasks that used to take hours or even days now literally take minutes. It is an absolute superpower.
Part 5. The future of work, macro impacts, and uneasy realities. So, zooming out a bit, we really have to explore the sobering macroeconomic implications of unleashing this hyper-productive technology. Because it's not just about coders getting faster anymore. It's about what happens to the entire global workforce. Dario actually has a highly nuanced and frankly kind of uncomfortable prediction about the economy. He foresees a very unusual combination: incredibly fast GDP growth paired directly with high underemployment and job loss. And he firmly rejects the criticism that his dire warnings are merely cheap doom marketing. He insists we absolutely must take these macroeconomic shifts very seriously. So the crucial point here is the leap between 90% and 100% automation. Right now, if AI automates 90% of a job, the human becomes wildly leveraged and productive, doing that remaining 10%. But when it gets close to 100%, the AI doesn't just make the human more productive anymore, it just becomes cheaper and better for the AI to simply do the entire job itself.
So where does that leave us? Let's take medicine as a likely pivot for society. AI will eventually master all the technical tasks, like being an expert diagnostician and telling you exactly what tests to run. But the human tasks, things like physically examining a patient, reading their emotions, and having a genuinely compassionate bedside manner, those will remain ours. Professions will inevitably have to pivot toward those organic, human-to-human interactions.
If we look at where human labor might actually migrate in this radically expanding economy, Anthropic sees 3 potential areas. First, the physical, manufacturing world, where things actually need to be built in real life. Second, human-centered, relationship-driven roles. And finally, the effort of directing the AI's values and intentions. But they are very quick to remind us that Anthropic is just one company. Society as a whole really has to step up and figure this out. And this brilliantly illustrates how Dario views his own role in all of this, with some striking humility. He firmly states, we're not going to get through this with larger-than-life personalities. There's basically checks and balances everywhere. He actively aligns himself with the physicist Leo Szilard, who believed in distributed power, rather than seeing a singular dominant figure like Oppenheimer as the goal. Which leaves us with a final, profound question to ponder. As AI rapidly masters our tools, what exactly will be left for humans to build? It's a massive shift, and one we all need to be ready for. If you enjoyed this explainer, hit the like button, share it with others, and subscribe to Brain Bites for more valuable insights. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and I'll see you next time.